Hi, my name is Eli.
Hi, my name is Yasmine.
Yasmine and I had to interview a professor in our major and ask her literary questions about writing for our major.
So me and Eli had interviewed Dr. Zahi Blatz, who is the head marketing professor here at St. Edward's.
We asked her lots of questions and we wrote them down. And some of the main points we discussed were what types of writing our professor does and the different articles we have to read for the class. And they had a lot of websites too.
Yeah, for sure. We also talked about some sorts of texts that are specific for the marketing major, such as like case studies or social media marketing. It all varies.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's it.
My own blog. We're doing blogs in our class right now. My academic writing, I do papers based on research, and those are usually really a longer process. And there, the writing process is collaborative. Usually, you have co-authors; they work on different parts of the paper. I'm really good at the data analysis and setting up the project and the conclusion. And then I usually have other people come in to write the introduction. My favorite type of writing is the books, because I get to speak with my own voice. And in the academic writing, you have to say what other people thought before you. In the books, I can say what I think and what my opinion is. So my writing process is I do a lot of thinking. To answer your question specifically, I really think about it, and I might think for several weeks before I even start to do something. I'm updating chapters now for a social media book. And people think, oh, it doesn't take you that long to do that, but I've really been thinking about it, for 3 weeks, and then I can bang it out in 10 days if I think about it long enough. Oh, that's a good question too. I usually have the students do some evidence of writing. So in our Principles of Marketing class, we have to do weekly questions. And yes, in a case. And in this class that I just taught, which is the digital media or digital marketing, I'm having them do weekly blog posts on specific topics relating to the class. And they also have to do short essay answers. And it's interesting because of the fact I think so many students now are on social media and writing and tweeting and writing 140 characters. But sometimes they have trouble actually coming up with a couple of pages these days. But yet, what people say in industry that they want are people that can write and express themselves in oral presentations, written presentations, and then who understand numbers. So it's kind of like reading, writing, and arithmetic, and being able to understand how to take thoughts and distill them. And so these are really important skills, so I do try to emphasize that in my classes. And I read everything and I grade it myself, and nobody else grades it, because it's important to give feedback. I try to provide feedback for every writing assignment. I'm not going to rewrite it for you, but I will point out where we need to have improvement. And if things get really bad, I will give a lecture on it in class. I think the main goal for writing and marketing is clarity. So in my classes, I recommend that you use short sentences and paragraphs. Don't try to overwhelm people without the big words that you know. The Wall Street Journal, for example, is written at the 8th grade level, which needs to be accessible to everybody. So that's what I encourage. You need to have an introduction and a body and a conclusion and a purpose for your writing. And I think the same thing with a paragraph, 3 sentences. First sentence should set it up, second sentence should talk about the subject, and the third sentence should wrap it up and then transition to the next paragraph. When I was writing my dissertation, my thesis advisor called that a clunk, where there was no transition. So subject, 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 and no transition. In my research, everything has to be supported, and you have to look at what prior researchers have done. And the same thing true when I write books. You have to always support it with the evidence. And when I have my students have their assignments, I ask them to have references and not just state their opinion, but say what is behind it. It depends. Sometimes it's okay, like in a blog, it's okay. It's okay in your LinkedIn profile because it's not a resume and you're trying to tell people about yourself. So those would be 2 good examples of using first person. What I really don't like is the using improper format, improper use of the you form of communication. If your company has this or that, well, you're really not talking about that in professional writing. You're talking about a company or a firm, and you're not addressing people with the you form. U form is good for persuasive communication marketing, to try to get somebody to buy your product, think about your idea.
Like branch of business?
Well, there's so many different forms of writing for marketing. You could be writing an advertisement or putting things on a website or a blog. You could be writing a TV commercial. I mean, there's so many different types of writing. You could be writing an internal document as a product manager to state your case. So there's so many different types of writing. I don't really know how to answer that.
Yeah, it is a hard question. That's why I kind of thought of it. Maybe if you would be like, oh, I know for sure, but...
Yeah, there's so many different styles that can be used. What was the question again?
Kind of just like, do you think writing and marketing is different from other forms of writing?
Again, there's just, I would say there's so many different types.
Because it depends on what you're writing for.
It depends on your audience. Yeah. Writing is critical because marketing is about communication. So you have to communicate your brand and your brand story. I don't know if you've heard the term content marketing. That's very crucial now. So you figure out what your brand's all about, your brand story, and then you disseminate that story across different channels, communication channels, Twitter, Facebook, blog, and television advertising. So I think that in my classes I emphasize, you're asking about the type of writing, I emphasize clarity and simplicity. So in my mind, a paragraph is 3 sentences. Just like a paper has an introduction, body, and a conclusion. Yeah, a paragraph should be 3 to 5 maybe sentences, and be very clear as to what you're trying to say. I have people that give me things where the paragraph is 2 pages. That's really not clear. So you need to be very clear. Does that help? Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
I use headings and subheadings and bullet points to make it easy for the reader to understand.
Textbooks? What sort of articles and stuff do we use?
Articles or blogs or...
Oh yeah, that's a really good question too. I recommend, you can jump in here too, David. Marketing Profs or the Social Media Examiner, Marketing Charts, Wall Street Journal Technology section. I tend to follow, certain blogs, and I feel like I get a lot from